pleased to have in the studio with me the executive director of the Citizen Action Wisconsin. Citizen Action Wisconsin. The website is citizenactionwi.org. And it's Robert Craig is with us. You can tweet him at rcraig, K-R-A-I-G, 1912, or at citizenactionwi, which, if you put .org at the end, is their website. And Robert, welcome.
Great to be with you, Tom.
Great to have you with us. Tell us about Campaign Radioactive.
So we have members who've organized themselves in something called organizing co-ops, cooperatives, where they are member owners and they can self-direct. They give a certain amount a month, and they developed this idea. They thought that right-wing radio monopoly in Wisconsin, especially around the Milwaukee area, is distorted Wisconsin politics, and they want to do something about it. And so they're raising money in order to get permanent capacity, to have a full-time person to work with them on the project. And the idea is both to challenge the monopoly. We have it's even worse in Wisconsin than nationally. We have such a concentration of right-wing hosts on the two dominant stations in southeast Wisconsin. They're actually credited with beating Trump in the Wisconsin primary, and most people believe there wouldn't be a Scott Walker without them. Okay. And so part of the strategy, once we build up the capacity and raise the money, is to simply hold them accountable to track what they're saying. A lot of them actually erase their podcasts after 24 hours. Because there's so much material that's racist or not factual, and so we're going to expose all of the things they're saying in order to discredit them, but then to actually put public pressure on their corporate media owners to try to force balance, because they're the public airwaves. The idea that dominant stations have nothing but right-wing talk show hosts who all have the same perspective distorts democracy in Wisconsin. I know it's a national problem, but it's even worse in Wisconsin. And then we're also, in this project, going to explore either owning our own radio station or getting other ways, kinds of access. So while we're trying to force balance on the big stations, try to have our own access. Because right now, if progressives don't have any way to communicate with the public via radio, they're at a huge disadvantage. And so this is a project both to challenge the monopoly, but also to get our own access.
Yeah. Interesting. Specifically for Milwaukee. I mean, we're live right now in Madison.
We're starting in Milwaukee. Right. You're on in Madison. Madison's a better case. They have more of a mix. They have some of the same right-wing talk show hosts as well. It's also a big problem in Green Bay, Wausau, the Fox Valley. There's a host up there that's dominant as well. But in Milwaukee, this is like the heart of Scott Walker country. The suburban counties, which are the most segregated in the whole country, vote in huge numbers in terms of percentage of vote and percentage for Republicans. They're what made Scott Walker governor and what made the union busting possible. And they voted 38 points, by 38-point margin, for Cruz over Trump, partly just because these guys can, and one woman can blow the dog whistle and say, you should vote for that Cruz is a better conservative than Trump. Right. And so it's a predominant power. They won a state Supreme Court race just in the same election, where the Supreme Court candidate they elected that Walker appointed said just horrendous things about women, about the LGBT community, things you can't imagine when she was a student and later, and still got elected to a 10-year term on the Supreme Court, partly because of these talk show hosts.
Wow. This radio is powerful, and it saddens me. I've been in this business back through Tom Athens starting, a radio network. Actually, we started on a radio network. It was called iAmerica Radio, which was owned by the UAW back 14 years ago. And then it became Air America, and then it became Jones, and then Westwood One, and on it goes. But radio is a challenge in this country, in large part because of the media consolidation that has come about as a result of the 1996 Telecommunications Act. So you have basically two large corporations, Cumulus and Clear Channel, that own virtually all the stations. So good luck with that. There's a lot of towns that are opening small, low-power FM stations where you've got high population. Yes, we're interested in that too. That's something to look at. You're also involved with People's Action. Tell us about People's Action.
So the reason I'm in D.C. today is that there's a merger of some of the major national organizing networks. These are networks that individual state organizations that do organizing on a large scale are members of. And there are a lot of organizations like Citizen Action Wisconsin and in other states. And the problem is they've been divided, and they've been competing for the same funding. There's not been a unified agenda. And so three of them are being merged. U.S. Action, National People's Action, Alliance for a Just Society are becoming People's Action. And the idea is going to be a very bold agenda to actually change our society, change the structure of the economy, really take on structural racism, and have a unified strategy across the states. And so this is really a way to try to have a consistent outside progressive push on the system that after the Bernie Sanders campaign, because we don't want the Bernie Sanders campaign to be a momentary moment that isn't carried on. There needs to be constant pressure from the outside on the system in order to really focus on our real problems.
So you're suggesting that this is a movement that was inspired by Bernie?
It started before Bernie's campaign. But Bernie, a lot of things you have to plan around unexpected events. Sure. People didn't predict Bernie. They thought Elizabeth Warren might be doing this, not Bernie. We actually started planning this merger 16 months ago, but now it's clear that we're right, that there's a market out there, to use a capitalist term for it, right? There are people who are craving real aspirational change, that the idea that we can really do big things in this country, we're just stopping ourselves, and that after the Bernie campaign, we need to carry that on. So we had planned this before this, but he really shows the capacity, the possibility, and we've had a history, as you know, as someone who's very astute about history, we have a kind of a history of getting caught up in elections and then the power dissipates when we lose the election. The populist movement had that problem. It's happened throughout our history. We need permanent, resilient movements. And that's what the right has done better. The right keeps ticking and pushing no matter whether they win or lose.
Oh, I was going to say that it almost sounds like what you're talking about is doing on the left what in your alliance of state legislators, what ALEC is doing on the right, except that ALEC is bringing in lobbyists and having them write bills and giving them to legislators to sign. But creating a network, creating a coalition, that seems like a good thing. And also on the right, there's this hugely symbiotic relationship between right-wing talk radio, the think tanks that in part fund that, or quote, by advertising there, and the media companies that own them. And so you're also looking at doing something on the left on that order. We're 20 years too late in some ways, or not too late, but behind, shall we say? And we've got a lot of catching up to do. But how do you propose to go about doing that?
Well, I mean, this unifies over 1 million members, grassroots members, over 1,000 professional organizers across 33 states. And they're often working really good fights, at the local level. We were very involved in trying to stop Scott Walker's attack on collective bargaining. We didn't win, but we need to be connected to each other and have a vision for the whole country. And then to be able to build more power, because you can build more excitement around big issues where people actually need to believe that things are possible. People don't actually believe that a better economy is possible, a lot of them, and that's why they've tuned out of the system or turned with their anxiety towards the xenophobia and the hate of a Trump
Love it
or Cruz.
Joe Biden a couple of days ago said, "Come on, we're America. We can think big." Right. It's like, oh yeah, hey, what a novel idea. We're talking with Robert Craig. He's the executive director of Citizen Action Wisconsin. CitizenActionWI.org is the website, and your group is merging into this People's Action Group.
Well, we're all independent state organizations, but we're creating among ourselves, a national umbrella.
Is there a national umbrella collaborative website yet?
It's not quite up yet. I was just being texted by our staff about that, but it will be within a couple days. But it'll be People's Action. It's not even you're actually ahead of the curve here. You may be the first press coverage because it's being announced tonight in Washington, D.C. There's an event. But quite frankly, we need not only do we need real people power, but we need a concerted strategy, a concerted vision that we pursue over a period of years, not episodically. And that's our radio project is about that too. We're not going to there's no one answer to their domination of the media, but we need a consistent strategy to undermine it, to challenge it, and then to actually get our voices on the air.
Yeah.
And you fought for that your whole career, and your show is an example of what we can do, but we need even a broader communication system. Yeah. We need, what's good about the system they've created for them is that it's all aligned and it's repetitive. You hear the same things over and over and over again. And we don't have nearly enough of that.
Well, they define the talking point of the day.
Yes.
Anyway, if you want to help out, CitizenActionWI.org is the website. Robert Craig, the executive director of Citizen Action Wisconsin. Robert, thanks so much for dropping by today.
Thank you, and thank you for doing the testimonial on our radio project, Radioactive. It was a huge hit at the big fundraiser.
This
started the whole campaign.
The Thom Hartmann Program.
So thank you for that and for all you do.
You're welcome. Thank you very much, Robert. We'll be back. To watch more clips from our programs, hit the Watch More Videos button over here. And please be sure to hit the handy-dandy subscribe button so you'll always be up to date. Tag, you're it.